Hi guys, it's Nick at the Biblical Gardens. Hello, how are you? So I'm cutting the grass today. It's a beautiful day, as you can see. I'm in the speckled shade of an apple tree, actually. And I've got the big green mower behind me, which is a big lump of a thing to negotiate all the trees that we have in the garden. I've just cut round, I'm just doing the main area of grass now. I've just cut round, all round the edges. I've done two sort of sweeps round the edge, all round the edge of the big area of grass. And now I'm going to just go up and down and cut the grass. I'm not picking it up, I'm just letting it fly. I haven't put the grass bag on the mower. The grass isn't that long actually. It's interesting actually what this lockdown is revealing, and I think one of the things that it's showing is just how I suppose just how poor the soil is. The grass isn't growing, the grass hasn't grown much at all. And to me that says that the grass is short of, the area is short of nutrients. We did feed it once, maybe twice in the autumn, but from what I can see it certainly needs more feeding. I mean there was a lot of trees in the lawn, and that, you know, that trees will suck up a lot of moisture, and that might be stopping the grass from growing. But when you look at this area here, you can see it's very thin, it's very bare, very poor looking grass. I mean, yeah, I mean it hardly needs cutting, this patch here. But there are other patches where it has grown really well, so it's best to give it a trim. So I'm not picking it up, I'm just letting it fly. There's not much grass to let fly, and I'm not cutting it very low. I'm not cutting it low at all actually. It's sort of at mid-height. Effectively this is its first cut of the year, which is amazing because we would have cut it 3 or 4 times by now, and we would have fertilised it as well. We would have fertilised it, we would have scarified it, we would have top dressed it, we would have done all of that. We would have irrigated it. So I guess the grass is missing us, really. It's missing our little horticultural help. Anyway, so I'm cutting the grass, done around the edges. I've done the bits over around the mound and the bit up by the archway stuff. I've got that little bit to do. I'm not going to cut out the back because it's too much, and I've got other things to do. Right, so you guys have got a annual maintenance plan to write, haven't you? Like a schedule, like a when and what to do to my lawn kind of thing, haven't you? Yes, you have, because I sent that to you on Monday. So let's imagine that. Oh, there's a label here. What's that? Oh, Cotoneus to Demerai. Oh, I wonder where that's come from. Okay, so I'm going to give a quick rundown of what I think should be in a lawn maintenance schedule. But I'm going to start in September, because I've been teaching for so long. I'm all long in the tooth, and that's when my year starts, in September. The year starts in September and it ends in June. So that's what I'm going to do. So September, what do we do in September? After a summer of cutting the lawn, the students arrive, don't you? You all arrive, and one of the first things we do is fertilise the lawn, because it won't have been fertilised all summer because nobody's here. We cut the grass, but there's no one here to fertilise it. So we're going to fertilise the lawn. But it's the autumn, September, so we would use a low nitrogen fertiliser, and I would aim to get at least a couple of applications on before the winter sets in. So that's maybe one application in late September, maybe another application of fertiliser in October before the tatty holiday. If it doesn't rain, that fertiliser needs irrigating in. Make sure you mention that in your schedule. We'd continue to cut the grass. If we get the time, we might scarify, we might spike, and we might top dress, but we didn't last year, and I'd planned to do it in the spring, but of course the lockdown came, so yeah. So that's the autumn. Bit of fertiliser, bit of mowing. Possibility, I think if you read some of you do some research, most people do their lawn maintenance in the autumn, so they would scarify the grass and rake out all that the thatch. Then they would spike the lawn with a spiker. If you remember, we used the spiker, that big heavy thing with the scary spark plug on top. And then we would top dress. Top dressing is like a compost for turf, and you spread it over the lawn and you rub it in, and it falls into the holes that you've just done for spiking, and it fills any gaps, any hollows, and it just enriches the soil and helps the grass to grow really nicely. So that's the autumn. As we head into winter, the frequency of mowing slows down, and we would raise the height of cut, because we don't want to cut too low as we move into winter, and eventually we'll stop mowing and we'll put the mowers to bed. We would service the mowers, maybe give them a good clean, maybe spray them with WD-40, maybe take the blades off and sharpen them, maybe change the oil in the mowers or something like that. But the winter's a good time to service your mowers, and that's it. Some leaf clearing in the autumn. Come sort of late November, December, we'll be raking leaves, getting leaves off the lawn. It's important to keep the leaves off the lawn because they can kill the grass, damage the grass, and it just makes it all look yucky and horrible. So we did that in the autumn, and we did lots of leaf clearing. So lots of leaf clearing in the autumn. Don't walk on the grass when it's frosty. You know all this stuff, and this is stuff you can put into your schedule. These are things that you can put into your schedule. So let's see now. Well, we've Christmas holidays, after Christmas, January. Not much happens in January, not much happens in February. March, well, March I would have liked to have got a fertiliser application on in March. Maybe sort of mid to late March, certainly before the Easter holidays, because there's a big break. 2 weeks we're not here at Easter. So I would like to get a fertiliser on certainly in March, and again, if it doesn't rain, that would get watered in. We could fertilise with a weed and feed. Weed and feed is good. Weed and feed has a little bit of selective herbicide in it, and that selective herbicide kills the broadleaf plants but doesn't kill the grasses. And as you can see, I think in this lawn here, loads of daisies. It's really nice, very pretty. But lots of daisies means that a weed and feed in the springtime might have been good. There's not much moss in this lawn. There is little patches of it, but it's mostly sort of under the trees. But Anyway, so springtime. If we hadn't, you would only do that scarifying and spiking and top dressing once a year. So if you don't get to do it in the autumn, then you need to do it in the spring, which we would have done had we been here, but we weren't here. So springtime, if you didn't do it in the autumn, scarify, spike, top dress, and then that's it really. Just keep mowing through the spring, maybe another application of fertiliser in April, maybe another application in May, and maybe another one in June, but little and often is better than lots of fertiliser all in one go, and that's it really. If I think of anything more, I'll pop up another video. You could include edging in your schedule. You could include sweeping off snow over winter in your schedule. You could include hand weeding, maybe, of weeds. You could include I can't think of anything at the moment. Yeah. Well, see how you get on with that. It's nearly 12 minutes of video now. Yeah, I don't want you getting too bored. I'm going to get on, finish this mowing, because it's not going to mow itself. And I'll get this video posted, and hopefully it gives you some ideas of what to include in your little schedule. If I think of anything more, I'll post another little video. Okay. Cheers, guys.